Welcome to the Four Visions Market Podcast, a space built on the principles of integrity and reciprocity. Together, we will engage in thought-provoking conversations about plant medicines, why these plants are coming out of the rainforest, jungles, and mountains after thousands of years, and what it means to be in right relationship with the ancestral wisdom cultures and guardians of these traditions. I'm your host, Mariah Gannessa, founder and director of Four Visions Market. This podcast is the natural evolution in our commitment to providing you, our tribe, with incredible resources to support you on your healing journey through plant medicines. Welcome home.
Hola familia! Welcome back to the Four Visions podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Today, I'm really excited to be here with you all and share a little solo episode and get into cultivating our relationship with plants and how we can work with the botanicals and the plant allies to form a deeper, more intimate connection with nature and self. So tune in and get settled and enjoy. I want to start first by really just acknowledging the profound gift that it is to have access to so many incredible healing allies and the potency and infinite healing potential that nature and our great Mother Earth have for us. Whenever we open our hearts and create the spaciousness to connect, there's so much medicine that we can receive, and learning how to align with the incredible ancient wisdom libraries that exist within the architecture of nature through the plant allies. It can be an incredibly nourishing and fortifying element to our spiritual studies and our spiritual practice. For our Four Visions community, many people work with our botanicals and with plants in a variety of different ways. Some people find us and they're looking for physical relief from symptoms, and they're interested in alternative and natural plant allies to be able to heal themselves and support their physical body. Another approach that many of you have probably taken is approaching these plant allies as a complement to your spiritual study, utilizing the plants to access different parts of your spiritual consciousness, to get connected and to tap into the source of nature and the source of creation. And so these plants can be utilized in a multitude of different ways. And the first topic that I wanted to share a little bit about today was the traditional approach to working with these botanical allies as taught to me in my decade-long apprenticeship with Ingano botanists of Putumayo, Colombia. And so the Ingano people are traditionally plant people. They work with all different sorts of plants, and while their primary principal pillar of their culture is the yahe or the ayahuasca, first and foremost, they consider themselves botanists. And so they are very intimately connected with all the different plants in the jungle and have worked with these different medicines for thousands and thousands of years to heal themselves, to care for their communities, and to fortify and cultivate their relationship with nature. So their approach to healing is threefold, and it's very beautiful and an interesting way to think about the healing journey and the process of wellness and cultivation of well-being within our bodies, mind, and spirits. As I talk about this, you might notice that there's some similarities to some other ancient traditional modalities of healing, such as Ayurveda, such as Chinese medicine. This is because these ancient practices, they all take the approach of healing happening on multiple different levels, that it's not just in the physical body, but that there are other aspects at play. And so when we are looking to support someone in their healing journey or wanting to get in greater touch with the full extent of ourselves, we look beyond the physical body. Of course, the physical body vessel is one primary pillar, but then we also look at the mental body, which also is called the emotional body, and then the spiritual body. And so these three bodies, they're talked about, like I said, in different ways in other traditional healing practices. But for the Inga and for many of the traditional Amazonian cultures, this process of physical, mental, and spiritual bodies form the foundation of the approach with how to work with plants. And so traditionally, all the plants that we share in our line and have the privilege of sourcing for our beautiful Four Visions community, we share them from this basis, this foundation of really wanting to support the healing, spiritual evolution and growth, and spiritual maturation of all three of these divine aspects of ourselves. And so the physical body, of course, we're all familiar with what the physical body represents, but this is our body vessel and really addressing symptoms, really supporting our vitality, looking at all the different body systems and seeing where there needs to be fortification, nourishment. If something is out of balance in the physical body, then we look to the other two bodies and see where the root cause of this physical imbalance is. Sometimes, although very rarely, a physical imbalance is really something that needs to be addressed only in the physical body. But more commonly, a physical symptom has roots in either the mental body or the spiritual body being out of balance. And so the traditional medicine men and women and botanists look at all three bodies in this process of diagnosis before beginning to treat their patients and preparing their protocol for healing, that they then prescribe different medicines, practices, and protocols to support someone's healing journey. The mental body refers to our cognitive body. It also refers to our thoughts, our beliefs. It refers to the stories that we have constructed about ourselves and our lives, and also plays into our emotional body and the ways in which we are moved and ruled by our emotions and the ebbs and flows of the feelings that pass through us on a constant basis. And then the spiritual body refers to our relationship with Source, with Spirit, our spiritual essence. There we look at the person's desire for spiritual growth. We look at where they need attention for this process of spiritual maturation. We look at what parts of their lives maybe aren't flowing or working in harmony, where there might be blockages or certain energetic processes that need to be overcome or organized. We talk a lot about this process of organization within the three bodies that really becomes a primary avenue for recalibration. And so from this perspective, in this really unique form of healing, we really look at a holistic approach navigating these three lenses to be able to determine the root cause of the symptoms, as well as prepare a path forward to navigate and create a healing journey that is really a container from which the person is able to really empower themselves in their healing journey and take steps forward to see the changes and the transformation that we're all looking for and that we're all seeking. That being said, we're all at different places in our healing, and healing is a beautiful thing because we're always healing. It doesn't have a finite start or end. And so the healing journey, I believe it to be synonymous to the spiritual journey, because as we are walking the spiritual path, anyone who is committed to their spiritual growth and evolution is aware that there's no end point, there's no diploma, there's no graduation. And the more that we walk the spiritual path, the more that it opens up and up to this infinite place of expansion and growth. And that's something so beautiful about this process of committing ourselves and dedicating ourselves. And the more that we open up and discover about ourselves, the more we realize how much there is still to uncover and remember and return home to. And so the plants and this unique architecture design of approaching life and relationship with nature provides us a foundation and a template from which we can create our process and our path forward from which to approach the different areas of our life that we're wanting to see this catalyzing change and growth. Some people might not be ready to approach their healing from this level because this is really a bird's eye view, really taking into account the full totality of what it means to be alive. And so oftentimes people will come to our community and they'll be searching, like I said, for just the physical relief of symptoms. And I want to also clarify that that's perfectly okay. And it's a beautiful thing to just be open and ready to try something new and want to see that improvement in our physical well-being. But it's also very common that once we start this search for the physical vitality and improvement in our physical well-being, that we start to tap into some of these other parts of our health that really are playing a part in how good or not good we feel in our physical bodies. And so this is very common that as we start this search, whatever brings you to looking for physical healing often opens up the doors to the spiritual health and wellness and the mental and emotional health and wellness. The Ingano botanists knew this and they know this. And for those who are ready and prepared to go into the depths of the healing journey that come to work with a traditional healer, the process is that you'll have a consultation, and this really marks the initial starting point of this healing process. And in the consultation, the taita or the curandero or the grandmother will ask you questions and help to really construct or paint the picture of who you are in this moment. It's a picture because it's just a glimpse of where you're at right now in your journey. And then also asking questions or having you share about where you want to get to, where are some areas that you would like to see expansion and things open up for you. And so this consultation is a very intimate experience between you and the healer, and it's considered to be very sacred, this moment of meeting. And oftentimes it will take place right before a plant medicine ceremony. So the consultation serves as that primary moment of encounter and meeting before the healer begins a process of working with you, serving you medicines. But also it is done in the context of preparing to work with plant allies and botanicals like that we share through our platform. In this time of meeting, there's this protocol that's basically outlined, and the curandero, the healer, basically creates this protocol or prescribes a path of a healing process that you will then go forward and do. And so this often includes botanicals, it includes healing remedies, and it also will include the intention or the prayer that you need to be working with when you're working with these different botanicals. Because just like I mentioned, the three bodies, all of the plant allies, they work on the three bodies and they work in relationship to the three bodies, but it all depends on how we use them. For example, one plant might provide physical relief of symptoms. Maybe it's good for inflammation or joint health, but also when working with it spiritually and with the intention of spiritual fortitude helps us to find empowerment and strength of the spirit. And so it really depends on how we're working with the plants. And in this intimacy of the consultation is where there's clarity given to the patient from the healer of how the approach can be. Now, this is the traditional context of how these plants are often given to someone. And what we're doing here at Four Visions is we are recreating this experience and really allowing people to have direct access to these plants to be able to create their own healing journey. And so it's a very beautiful study for us as we share and source these medicines with a lot of prayer and good intention and a lot of love of how we translate this very sacred tradition of botanical healing into a way that provides access and gives our community the opportunity to work with these botanicals, as well as providing the education and the information and the resources to support you in understanding how to work with them. And so there's so many different levels of how we can work with plants, and plants will bring healing and so much medicine, regardless of how we approach it. But there's a level of optimization of their potential. that we can really tap into when we understand some of these things that I'm sharing and the full totality and context of how we can create these containers of spiritual work and healing. And so this word container is important because that's what the taitas or the healers will create for a patient after they receive their initial consultation, is this container for healing. Maybe it's a 30-day treatment. Maybe it's a 6-month process that has different phases. Maybe it's shorter and it just requires a realignment or a recalibration. So this creation of the container is really supportive for working with these plants because it provides not only the start and the end date, so we have a clear understanding of how long I'm working on these things, especially if it's not just for relief of symptoms, but we're actually wanting to go deeper into some profound spiritual studies or activation of different themes, working on a relationship with self. And so this element of really understanding what we want to get out of this study is really important. So getting really clear on what am I looking to improve, what am I looking to study too, because we can also approach this from this element of spiritual study and investigation, where we're utilizing plants to access the celestial realms, to access the cosmic wisdom libraries of information that exist in other worlds, in the invisible planes, and to access these different dimensions of beyond the seeing world. And we can utilize plants in this way as well. And so first, when we're preparing ourselves to work with these sacred medicines, I always like to recommend getting really clear on where we want to go within this relationship, because it's a relationship with this particular plant and this particular ally. And so this first element of really presenting ourselves to the plant that we're going to work with, and setting that intention and prayer and really creating that intimacy before we even begin the study is really, really beautiful and important. And then over the period of time, whether, let's say you want to work with Bobinsana for 30 days and you want to do a deep study for Bobinsana. Maybe your reason for going to Bobinsana is that you just experienced heartbreak and you want to heal your heart. Or maybe you're ready to do some healing with your inner child and you are ready to face or reconcile or organize your relationship with a certain trauma or grief or impact from your childhood. So you have a really clear understanding of why you're going to work with the plant. So that's the first step when we're kind of creating this container for ourselves. And if you don't know which plant to use, that's okay too. You can also come at it from getting clear on what you want to work with or what you're looking to deepen in. And then from there, either our team of plant medicine practitioners and specialists can help orient you and guide you and recommend which plant to work with, or you can resource yourselves by learning more about the different products on our website and reading about the product descriptions and letting your intuition kind of guide you. And then we also have more product education that we're working on. We're releasing a series of product videos that really go in depth on individual products and give more background and context for what they're for and how to utilize them. So we're really working to build this resource collection of a lot of different tools that you can utilize to help make those decisions. But regardless, you will make that decision of which plant to work with, and then we recommend setting a specific time period that you want to work with them, and then getting really clear on what that work is going to entail. Maybe it's going to entail that plant ally incorporated into your daily meditations. Maybe it's going to entail a dream study practice where you work with the plant right before you go to sleep, and then you do a series of dream journaling in the morning when you wake up, and you're going to do that for 30 days or for 2 weeks. Perhaps you want to do a more specific diet or deep study and alignment with a particular plant. So in this case, you would really get a little bit more clear about the container and be a little bit more strict with the commitments that you're making, like a clear meditation practice every day for the entire period, cutting out certain foods that create more noise, and so really trying to clean the diet for that period, the physical food that we're ingesting These are some examples of ways in which we kind of create this container. Oftentimes in traditional diets, abstaining from sex and intimacy is a part of holding the container, because then our energy comes inwards more and centralized towards our spiritual studies and our focus. So there are many ways in which we can create this container, and I may do another episode really about how to create the container more specifically. But essentially, this is kind of the basics, and it can be, very general and relaxed if you're really just wanting to, incorporate a plant into your routine and start to kind of subtly connect with some of the benefits. Or perhaps you're really called to have this really deep unfoldment of a relationship with a particular plant. And so depending on your desires and your intentions, you go creating this space of study. And so in this way, we really are able to maximize and optimize our time spent with these plants and open ourselves to the plethora of information that the plants have to teach us. And so this alignment and quieting of the noise surrounding us when we work with the plants, by communing with the plants from this place of prayer, from this place of really honoring the sacredness that exists within each plant and all the information that it has, by presenting ourselves to the plant in a good way and with that intention and prayer, the plant then recognizes us, starts to get to know us, and there's this beautiful meeting process over a few days or a few weeks where there's like this getting to know each other, and the plant is really scanning or learning about all of your essence of who you are, what you need in that particular moment, and it's collecting information, it's collecting an understanding of how this particular plant spirit can bring you medicine. And then after that process has taken place, and for some plants and some people, this can be instant. It can be like an instant one-day alignment. There's a meeting and we're ready to work. For other people and other plants, it can take a couple weeks or even a few months sometimes to have that connection where there's this feeling, okay, I know this plant now knows me, and now we're ready to work together. And then once this happens, it's like this beautiful diving into the depths of the many different roots and seedlings and layers of information that this particular plant spirit has to give you. And so over the following weeks or whatever time period you're working, there's this information that is then given. And it can come in many different ways. It can come through meditation, guidance, insights. It can come through innate bodily knowing of just feeling clarity, or receiving a download and just knowing in your totality that that's what you have to do. And then you also often feel like that plant with you. That plant becomes an ally in that moment. And this process of turning plants into allies is really beautiful, because first we're just getting to know each other, and there's this recognition process. But then over time, as we work with particular plant, they really become part of our spiritual armor, our spiritual protection. They become allies in the sense that they are sitting on our shoulders, accompanying us on this journey. And then as we deepen in our allyship with a particular plant, over time, that relationship transforms to the point where we don't even have to work with the plant in the physical form. We can call upon the spirit of the plant. And so if we do a diet or a spiritual study with a particular plant, we then integrate that information into our being. And then after we complete that process, the idea, the hope, if we do it within sincerity and intent, is that we arrive at a place where we have that plant there, and she sits on our shoulder, walks with us, and then maybe one time in the future, weeks later, months later, years later, we need the information that plant gave to us. And so we can call upon her because she's there. And so learning this beautiful process of invoking the spirit of a plant and working with plants in this way of allyship is really so beautiful and so intimate and profound, and allows us to deepen our relationship with all of nature and all of creation, and really tap into this inherent union that we have with creation and nature, because we are part of nature. And so as we deepen our relationships with individual plants and form this practice of working with plants, we develop this beautiful interweaving and way of dialoguing with plants, talking with plants, having a relationship. What does it mean to be in relationship? This is an exchange, it's mutual, there's a giving and receiving. And so this is what it is to work with plants in this way. We love talking about this with our botanicals and with what we're doing with Four Visions, because everything in our platform is really based on this essence of reciprocity, of giving and receiving. We never approach these sacred medicines from this desire of taking or needing, but rather from a place of coming with this reverence and humility for the infinite wisdom of nature, and coming from that place of always, offering our hearts, offering ourselves with humility and reverence. And from that place, then the plants give to us and we receive so much. So this is a little bit about how we recommend working with plants and botanicals, and the essence of, the three bodies can be applied as much or as little as you want. And so if you're ever interested in creating this type of container for yourself, the first step would be to do a self-evaluation and get really clear on, what you want to work with, which of the bodies you're wanting to tend to, where you feel like there might be energy out of balance or needing to recalibrate or organize to put things into their rightful place, so that you can live from this place of clarity, connection, and centered knowing. So this process of self-evaluation can really be done through our meditation processes, through our reflection processes and introspection processes, asking ourselves, how are we? What areas of our life are needing energy? Where do we feel out of balance? Where do we feel like there needs to be some work done? And really starting to evaluate, how am I showing up in my relationships? How am I showing up in my relationship with myself? How am I showing up in the ways that I'm tending to my projects and my responsibilities? Really just doing this regular evaluation of how we are and how we're feeling, and utilizing that as a guiding lens for navigating how to approach our relationship with plants, and then sourcing and utilizing, calling upon the plants that can help us. And of course, plants are just one tool, one ally, right? I've mentioned here a few times meditation and our spiritual practice and a movement practice and diet. There's so many different elements that come into play when we're looking to really care for the totality of our well-being in the three bodies. When we talk about the mental body, for example, this one is really beautiful because this has a lot to do with how we care for our thoughts and how we tend to the thinking mind. And this is a really big topic that has so many beautiful resources and tools in today's world to navigate, from, meditation and EFT and psychotherapy and talk therapy. There's so many different modalities available to help us to work with the thinking mind and to really navigate and reorient to the thoughts that we're feeding ourselves in every moment. And so this approach is really multifaceted. So now that I've given a little bit more context and background to the traditional uses of these plants and botanicals, I wanted to share a special announcement of what we have been working with and working on diligently here at Four Visions. As I mentioned, our intention is to support you in cultivating your relationship with nature and plants. And over the years, our collection has unfolded and developed to contain so many incredible tinctures and allies and cacaos and hape. We have so many different botanical remedies, and many of the remedies contain multiple plants and have really beautiful recipes of combination of plants, and they can be really beneficial and useful when we're working on a specific symptom or really needing that support of a multitude of plant allies at a time. But one of the best ways to really deepen our relationship with plants is by working with one plant at a time, so that we can tap into this process that I was just explaining about, this intimate relationship with the plant and the spirit of that particular plant, because each plant has different codes of information in it. And so sometimes when we're working with a tincture that has 3 or 4 plants in it, we're getting so many benefits, but sometimes it can be hard to hear all the messages if there's a lot of different plants or a combination of different plants. And so we really recommend in this process of attuning to and developing our relationship with plants, of cultivating these like individual one-on-one relationships with plants. So that being said, we're really excited to share and announce that we are launching our Apothecary of Rainforest Botanicals, which is the unfoldment and the next phase of evolution of our product line, where we are going to be sharing the raw plant material of many of the plants that are already in our botanical line as individual bulk herbs. And so in this way, you will be able to work with these plants in many different ways by having the raw form. And our hope through this is that this can really support this process of relationship building and support you in unlocking this beautiful introspection and personal study of your work with plants. And so our bulk apothecary is launching this month, and we'll definitely include all the information in the show notes so you can check out the new collection. But we're sourcing here incredible herbs that can be utilized in so many different ways that are in our tinctures or our hot bays or our plant lotions already. And so what we've done is worked with our botanists and our indigenous partners in South America to start cultivating, harvesting, and drying these plants in their raw form so that we can share them with our community. And there's so many benefits to this. So I'm really excited about this new stage and evolution of what this means and how this can really support our community in this study and in this relationship with plants. One of the main things is being able to make your own medicines with these sacred Amazonian remedies and learning how to connect with the spirit of the plant by drinking it in a tea or by making it in plant baths or potentially making your own tinctures, making your own healing lotions. And so this is something that we're also going to start talking more about and sharing more about, is really supporting you in learning how to make all of these medicines yourself, because it's beautiful to receive these medicines already made, especially when they're made by traditional indigenous healers and medicine makers with the prayers of their lineage infused into the remedies. But there's something to be said about our own energy going into these formulations and the process of being able to make your own medicine and talking and speaking, dialoguing with the plants about what your intention is and why you're looking to them and coming to them in this moment in your life. And so it provides this whole nother layer of depth and for you in your own journey with plants to be able to go into the next level. For example, maybe you've been working with our Ambisacha tincture for many years and you love it and it's an incredible ally. Or maybe you have a relationship with ayahuasca. Now you'll be able to purchase the yahe leaves, the ayahuasca leaves, through our apothecary, and you can utilize them to make your own plant baths or to make your own lotions. And having the opportunity to touch those leaves that you've been communing with in the form of a tincture and or drinking in the form of the ayahuasca brew takes your connection with this plant to a whole nother level. And so we're really happy to share this opportunity with you, and we look forward to talking more about it in the coming weeks and months. But we invite you to check out our new Rainforest Apothecary and learn more about the sacred herbs that we are sharing and launching this month. And many of the plants that we're sharing are already in our apothecary in the form of these tinctures or hape or lotions or plant baths. And so really this is just the next evolution to support you as our community grows in developing and deepening our relationship with nature and plants. So thank you so much for your support and for being part of our community and our growing Four Visions family. It's because of your thirst for this information and your desire to work with these plants in the right way, in a way that honors tradition desiring to resource yourselves with the traditional ways and practices of working with these sacred remedies, that we have gotten to this place. And your enthusiasm and support has really catalyzed the evolution of our platform in so many beautiful ways. So I also just want to extend my gratitude and thanks for being here, being part of this journey with us. And we look forward to continuing to accompany you on your spiritual path and on your journey with nature. And I look forward to sharing more about the unique plants that we're featuring and sharing on future podcast episodes, as well as through our product video series on YouTube. So definitely stay on the lookout for more opportunities to deepen in some of this incredible information, and reach out to us. Let us know what you want to learn about and what you would like us to share with you. And we always really receive these inquiries and questions and utilize them to really craft what we bring to our community. And so please, leave us a review, send us an email, reach out to our team, and let us know what would be most supportive for you through our platform, and how we can really show up in the best way to walk this sacred path together. So thank you so much. Sending you many blessings on your journey, lots of love and light, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
On behalf of the Four Visions family, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this conversation and have gained seeds of wisdom that will nourish your spiritual path. If you have a moment, please leave us a review, as this helps us to reach more people. For more resources and information about the plant path, and for the highest quality spiritual tools and botanicals, please visit us at fourvisions.com. We are grateful for your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you all. Until next time.